This is me, and I'm addicted to YouTube. The thing is, you're as well, and I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say something like, no, I'm not, I can stop at any time, but let's be serious for a moment. I can't, and you know you can't as well. And by the way, this goes for all social media platforms. If it's not YouTube for you, it's gonna be TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. But let me start at the beginning. Hi, my name is Yannick and I've been watching YouTube for what feels like ages now. When I started watching YouTube, it was basically for a bit of entertainment after school to calm down a bit, and the things I watched were Minecraft Let's Plays with little to no editing, and the time I spent on YouTube was pretty reasonable. The thing is, over the time my relation to YouTube changed a lot, and it not only started taking up more and more time of my life, but also more and more of my attention. And a few months ago, I finally realized all the bad effects YouTube or social media in general actually had on me. And it's one thing to theoretically know all the bad things social media does to you, because everybody somehow does. But it's another thing to actually experience them firsthand and to feel and realize how fucked up all of this is. And I'm talking about things like having no motivation, no concentration, no discipline. It obviously takes up way too much time, and you always have this underlying amount of anxiety that never really seems to go away. And things like procrastination and social media sets up these really fucked up standards for basically everything. So in this video I will talk about my situation and about all the steps I will be taking or that I'm already taking to finally unfuck my life, in hopes that it motivates you to do the same and to finally start doing something about it. By the way, I'm still in the middle of all of this, so I'm not this super wise guru that knows everything. If you have any tips or recommendations, drop them in the comments down below, or if you just want to share about your situation, do that as well. So let's first talk about why it's so hard to just stop watching YouTube or social media, because if it's so bad for us, why don't we just stop with that? Reason number one is everything that has to do with dopamine and motivation. And I'm sure everybody already heard about dopamine and how it's this reward system in your body. And for me, that basically meant that every time I wanted to feel productive or I wanted to have a dopamine hit, I just watched YouTube, because doing something productive is actually hard and watching YouTube is pretty easy. So reason number two is how I take care of emotions, because whenever I have a bad emotion like stress or anxiety or I'm sad or something, I tend to just watch YouTube, because it, for one, gives you this dopamine hit, but it's also a pretty good distraction from your emotions. But this leads to this underlying, always present amount of anxiety that never really goes away and is obviously not the best way to handle these situations. So at some point a few months ago, I wanted to change something, and here's what I'm doing right now. So the first thing that I did, and that you can try as well, is to establish a baseline. So you need to find out how much time you actually spend on your phone and what application you use the most. How you do that is pretty simple, because you can just go on your phone or your tablet and go to your screen time tab and just look it up. Here you can establish a baseline for maybe the last 4 weeks to know roughly what your average is. For me, that was or is 3 hours and 20 minutes on my phone alone. Here I have to admit that I also use a tablet and my PC, so my screen time is much higher than that. I'm probably guessing somewhere around 6, 7, 8 hours. Next step is to find out what apps you're actually struggling with. For me, it's pretty easy, because it's basically just YouTube, and that's also the only application I really want to stop using, because another application I use a lot is WhatsApp, but I somehow want to keep in touch with all of my friends and family and things like that. So that's nothing I want to decrease that much. Alright, so what am I actually doing? Step one is pretty simple, and it's basically just directly reducing screen time. A good thing to note is that every minute you can avoid using your phone or your tablet is amazing, because they truly stack up over time. Another thing you can do is to slowly reduce the amount of stimulation you get. What do I mean by that? So for me, I currently use YouTube not only directly, but I also have it running in the background a lot of times. So for example, when I do the dishes, I tend to put up my phone and put YouTube on it. Here you can just maybe switch from YouTube to something like a podcast or just music, and then from that to just not using your phone. So next is to make your phone less interesting. What you can do is you can obviously deinstall the app you don't want to use anymore. And this might work for you, or you might be like me and you might reinstall it when you want to use your phone again. Another thing you can do is use something like a grayscale filter, because it just makes your phone really uninteresting without any color. And something that I use right now is an app called Screen Zen, because every time you click on your phone, you get this notification where you have to press unlock and wait a certain time, and you can also write your own message there, so you might motivate yourself to not use social media, and you also have like this barrier of not impulsively clicking on it. And step 3 is to make your life interesting, which sounds easy, and that's basically everything that it is, because if your life just consists out of work and YouTube or social media or school or social media, it tends to get pretty boring. Things that I did, I started getting into gardening this year, which is really amazing. So I'm growing my own vegetables, and if you have the chance to do that, I really encourage you to do it, because it's super fun and it's basically like a video game where you have like little things you can improve and stuff like that. And I also got into cycling, which is also really fun because it's outdoor. It's finally cardio I'm doing, which is obviously good for my health, and it just actually is fun for me. So try to think about things you always maybe wanted to do and get a new hobby. It can be something like a sport or something creative or learning a language or something, just anything that is more interesting than YouTube. And I know that the easiest way to go about this is to don't do anything, but I truly encourage you to finally do something about it, because the best time to stop using social media is now. And if you're motivated, you might be thinking something like, I will just start tomorrow, or maybe I will start next week or in a month or something, but start right now. Because as soon as you start saying, I will start tomorrow, you won't start. I really encourage you to put your phone away right now and to make a plan in your journal or on your phone, and think about all the things you can change and how you can change them. Because if you have the time to watch this video right now, you probably have the time to think about that. In the future, I will probably also do an update video talking about the things that worked for me and the things that didn't. So if you want to see that, feel free to subscribe. It would truly help me out and mean a lot to me. And I will see you in the next one.